Welcome to Star Wars Lore with Idiots, the podcast where a bunch of grown men think that Starkiller is not a character's name, but what the Starforge does. Let's turn it over to Ranger and the crew.
Well, hello, boys and girls, children of all ages. We're back. It's been a little while since we've done one of these. Had a lot of stuff going on with trips to Vegas and charity streams and, family stuff. But we are back with another edition of Star Wars Lore with Idiots, where I usually try to teach these potato heads Star Wars lore, and it usually goes pretty awful because, well, you've seen the series, you know how this goes. That being said, this is going to be a little bit different episode. If you guys don't know, we are partnered with the ACS. We raise money for them, the American Cancer Society, and we set a goal for our recent 24-hour stream that if we hit a certain mark on donations, then we would flip the script. So today, I get to be the idiot, and Kashmir gets to get a taste of his own medicine. This is nice, Kashmir. Revenge is mine. I'm so happy.
I just want to know what crazy SOBs actually donated to that.
You should know by now in this community with we've already hit a third of our goal already. Our goal is 22,000. We've already smashed through the third of it just with the 24-hour stream, which is pretty wild. So yeah, you have done this yourself.
This community is crazy.
Yes, that's what happens. They will make you do. If you put crazy stuff on there, you
duck out of frame of this camera.
I know. Karis, like, I will never do that.
It was never me.
Yeah,
it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Yeah. Meet one of your idiots that helped with that.
Just slightly, just a little bit.
Yes, and so Carthaginigus is here. Carthag, how are you, my friend?
Good. Doing well.
Got your coffee? Got your coffee?
I got my coffee. Yeah, I'm just.
I've got some coffee. I got some Dr. Pepper here. I'm chilling. I get to be the bonehead today. I mean, let's first. How do you want to handle? You want Kashmir? This is your show, man. This is you're running the program now, so you're playing the role of Ranger J19. So go ahead, buddy. How do you want to start us off?
Got the bald part down.
This will be I'll be Kashmir J1999. Well, first I want to remind everybody and thank everybody for donating. I still think you're crazy for donating for this particular reward, but everybody that donated and always helps out RSG with their charity, their streams and everything, thank you. We normally record these lore videos every Sunday. To become a Patreon, you get these early on Tuesdays when my errand boy Ranger J will actually get to it and send it out.
Whatever.
He's gonna be my errand boy today.
That's right. Get to work, boy.
Yeah, do something around here. Damn it.
I shall be lazy. It's nice. All right.
Oh no, I hit the mute button again.
Oops.
Well, we're also missing one of our idiots.
We are
Ram, because he was jealous that I am going to be the guest host today, and it's
not
what it was again. Yes,
or is it that he had to have some surgery done? Nothing major. He's fine. But he
messaged me on the side. It was surgery.
It was combination.
Yeah,
it was combination.
Yeah,
dual effort.
Yeah, he kept on crying and he needed something.
Someone didn't like his mate's video and took some drastic action in game.
So I will leave it to you. I'll leave it to the idiots. Well, yes. I guess
we already know what the topic is. I mean,
do we? Do we know? Do we?
Anybody? I didn't go over what I'm drinking.
Oh,
we having?
God, drinking.
Oh, we having some smoke wagon. This is a
smoke wagon. Oh, Kashmir's bringing the smoke show. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Well, I figured, the clouds and
he's even got a classy ass glass. Look at this guy go.
Oh,
I've got those glasses behind me when I'm drinking fine whiskey and bourbon. You gotta swirl around, smell it.
Oh, I know, but I just, I'm just so used to us roughing it out here like cowboys.
I know, right?
Where's my coffee cup?
Put the stuff inside. Coasters, you're just, So, but I will also be participating in water because I guess I have to be able to talk throughout the whole
I try that, yeah.
All right.
So we don't translator at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
we don't want to quote because we know what the topic is going to be.
Yes.
So I'm just
Yaddle.
going to start out and
Yaddle?
read
Oh, it's
some of my
Yaddle. We
notes
switched
here.
it. Okay, good. Okay,
Okay.
good. I didn't know
Yaddle. Yaddle. I'm hearing yaddle.
that. Yeah.
A lot of
yeah,
yaddle.
A lot of yaddle.
Yeah. So we're going to go over Toyota. It's a Japanese company.
Very nice. Very
That
Star Wars
is,
themed. Listen, Cashmere, you cannot be an idiot when you're
Oh, I
doing
can't be
this.
the idiot?
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm
I
sorry.
heard that Toyota did make that in the Boo Cruiser that Padme flew in on. So, I'm just saying.
All right,
Nice.
all right. All right, so for real now, the topic is going to be one Mr. Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
Mr.
He is-
Yoda. So this is after Exile and
He's
everything.
no longer
He is-
Jedi Master Yoda.
No,
he
no,
just,
no, it's not Jedi Master, or is
It's-
pre
it's
Oh,
Jedi
just-
we're going to go over pre.
How? Oh, pre Jedi.
Pre-Jedi Master. We're gonna go over the come on,
Mr.
we're gonna-
Yoda. Oh
We're gonna
God.
go
why
over
you're
some
fan.
Legends material, some
Oh.
canon material,
Oh,
a
my.
little bit of everything. So I know we like to get it started, and like I said, I'm gonna have to read over some notes here. He was 66 meters tall, so he's kind of a short little guy.
Okay.
66
Um,
meters tall.
66 meters. I think
Listen.
that's wrong. I think you
Are
mean.
you sure about that one?
Oh,
Centimeters?
I'm sorry. Point. There's a point. Listen,
Point.
reading is tough.
Who's the
All right?
idiot here? Okay, I'm just asking.
Reading is tough.
Yoda was the size of King Kong. That's what we've learned today.
Listen, I'm going over his early life. He started out really, really tall, and then he had
See what?
a
Look at
scoliosis.
what
His
the
poor
weight of
mother.
it being the Jedi Master did to him.
I know.
Yeah.
It just shrunk him down to a minuscule little guy.
You know how like most presidents, they'll get, they start out, they go into the office, they look good,
Yeah.
and then by the end of the office, they're all gray and like
They've aged 30 years and
Mhm.
exactly in 4 years. So he was born in 896 BBY.
Okay.
This is when he was born.
Okay.
So a little bit about Yoda. We don't know a lot about his species per se or his home planet.
Right.
That's George Lucas wanted to always kind of keep that a mystery. Never really allowed too much going on with the Legends material. He just always wanted to kind of keep that to his own.
Somehow, in some way, Yoda was born.
Yes.
How the series starts and the series ends.
And he was 66 meters tall, and
Mystery.
his mom's
66
vagina
meters
exploded.
Then when he left his planet, the weight of all that.
The universe
That's
That's what it was. He lived on
Yoda.
a big, giant planet that so much gravity it shrunk him. Got it.
Got it. On
Okay. See, we're all on the same page. This is good. I like
No, we're
this. I
not.
wanna
Shame on
know-
you.
it. We're on the
All
same
right, so
page.
what
It's
is-
just different books.
Like, what book are
What
you
is
reading?
known is that Yoda had left his planet with a human friend.
Mm. Oh.
Yeah, let's look at this.
That's
They
a nice
they
stick you
didn't,
got
both
there.
of them didn't even know they were force sensitive. They go out on their ship. They end up getting hit by an asteroid.
Oh.
Ship is beyond repair, beyond what they can do as far as repairs. But they do find this system that's close by that they have enough fuel to get to. So they go on this. They land on this planet. They kind of live on their own for a couple of days, and then finally they are met by this dude's name is please. I'm going to Grandi these
Yeah,
names.
please
just so
trust
you
me.
know.
I've been here many times.
Encato del Gamo, who actually
That sounds like a
Yes.
wonderful taco.
sounds
give me
like
the recipe.
actually sounds like a Spanish conquistador.
Get me the recipe.
So he actually is the one that revealed to them that they're both force sensitive, and this Jedi Master asks Yoda to become his apprentice.
It's the friend.
So his friend, I guess, still learned. I mean, just probably took both of them. Listen,
Oh, I
this is
didn't know
about
you just said
Yoda. This is
Yoda.
not about his friend.
Okay, I was just wondering what happened to the
Yeah.
friend.
All
Things.
right. So this
No,
Master Garamo then takes them back to his home planet where they kept on training in the ways of the Force.
Okay.
And then not after long after their training, the actual Galactic Republic starship did pick up a distress signal around them and rescued them and brought them over to the Jedi Temple. So Yoda and his buddy which we don't know who it is, what his name is, or anything like that.
Third Will. We'll call him Third Will.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I like it. So there's where Yoda started training originally as a Jedi initiate. Within time, he passed all his
Trials.
all his trials. Thank you. Good thing we
No
have you
doubt.
here. And eventually passed the gathering, and with the help of the droid Hu Yang, constructed his first lightsaber. So this is how old how long Hu Yang has been around, because spoiler alert, he's also, I believe, is going to be making an appearance in the Ahsoka series.
I mean, he's made, he's in the Clone Wars series, and I think he didn't show up in Rebels though. I don't think.
No, I didn't see him in Rebels.
Yeah, not that I
recall. No.
So, so when Yoda passed all his gatherings and eventually became a Jedi Knight, so he went on important missions. He, by the age of 96, so he's already 96 years old. He finally becomes a Jedi Master.
Okay.
And was actually elected to join the Jedi High Council. So this is by 800 BBY. Yoda actually start training students. That's, he does this for centuries. So some of his actual famous students that we're going to know are going to be those of like Count Dooku.
Yep.
He obviously Luke. We know that he's trained pretty much everybody at some point because of just being around for 800 years.
When you're around to be 1,000 years old, you have a lot of influence.
So at this point, do we have any questions? Anything that the idiots would like to?
Oh, I got a great question.
Yes, let's hear it, Garth.
Right.
Yes, it's good.
If Yoda was 66 meters tall,
yes,
how big was his lightsaber?
Oh my god!
I need to know, because I'm like,
well, if we go by thirds, right?
Well,
22 meters.
Like the hilt, like just think of that. Like he could swing just the hilt around and dome somebody.
And well, we'd wipe out a small city, a town. A town. I think a town. I mean,
I need to see that film now. I need to see Godzilla versus Yoda.
Godzilla versus Yoda. Just here.
We're gonna say he had a normal size lightsaber that the others had liked.
All right.
For his size, it matched his size.
Yes,
that sounds like a comforting girlfriend statement right there. But all right.
It's a good size for you.
Yeah, it does the job just fine.
Ranger, any questions before we move on?
I'm just really disappointed we didn't learn more about the friend. I mean, he was force sensitive. I guess that just doesn't matter.
We're gonna save that. We're gonna save that for another episode.
Okay.
Oh, you know who I know who it is, Ranger? It's like Drogon's great.
Drogon's not force sensitive, so
yeah, but you don't have to be. Force sensitivity isn't passed.
It was bred out. Okay.
It could have been bred out. There could have been enough.
Or skips some generations.
Yeah. We just know that this unknown character made this other unknown character. So there, connection made. Winning.
I think we solved the friend problem. All right.
There we go.
Nice.
Good.
All right.
I'm waiting for Kashmir to slap me.
No, you're buying some time for me. Whew. Now I can have a drink.
There you go. There you go.
Not so easy leading the idiots, is it, Kashmir? Mm-hmm.
No, not at all. I'm gladly going to be giving this back to you next week.
Yeah, next one will be
Yeah. We'll save that for Carth or something.
So we've got Yoda. He's hundreds of years doing stuff, and then what's next there, Big Kashmir?
So he's just kind of doing his thing, going on missions. He does eventually become the only Grandmaster. He did share that role a little of the time with some other Jedis, but let's kind of get into more of the what people more of the canon stuff around episode episode 1. So he's a Grandmaster. He's kind of leading the Jedi part of the council. He's the one that sent Qui-Gon and his apprentice Obi-Wan to do negotiations on Naboo, which we know how which we know how that eventually works out.
The negotiations was short, Master.
So kind of we don't really see much of him during this time, but we do see eventually Qui-Gon does find Anakin and brings him to the council to train.
Right.
So Yoda senses lots of fear in him, doesn't want to train him, thinks he's too old. This is kind of Yoda's mindset is you got to be trained from when you were young. Although we don't really know when Yoda was trained, so kind of double standard.
So he's a hypocrite.
Yeah, he's
relative.
a hypocrite.
The Jedi Order is hypocrites.
Which do you guys prefer? Do you prefer the original version of Yoda in episode 1 with the pork chop, mutton chops, sideburns, kind of that 70s hair look, or do you prefer when they went back and made him look like a little bit more like episode 2 Yoda? Which is kind of what he looked like through the rest of the shows.
I would have loved if both him and Mace had the 70s mutton chops to match.
No, Mace went with the shaft cool. Look. Yeah, he was. I mean, Yoda was his buddy cop friend, so he was the one that had the mutton chops. But and I don't know which one do you guys prefer. I kind of like Yoda with that 70s sideburns look.
Gives him more depth.
A little hard to say because of just how the puppet was versus the CGI model. It was like they probably used the hair to hide things versus being like, hey, look what's here. He's like, poop. You weren't supposed to see that. Shh, quiet.
Okay.
All right,
that's all I had.
Okay. So when things start breaking down in Naboo and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan go back, is after they take Anakin to Naboo. This is where they meet Darth Maul. Darth Maul kills Qui-Gon. Obi-Wan comes back, does tell the council, listen, we met a Sith. This was a Sith Lord. And this is where we find out from Yoda, where he makes in canon that the Sith have the rule of 2.
Or is true, there are a master and an apprentice, no more or less.
But we don't know which he was. Was he the master or the apprentice? Dum dum dum.
Release the Pokemon.
Pokemon.
We then see, this is all going on during Qui-Gon's funeral. Obi-Wan does say that he's taking on Anakin, no matter what. And despite Yoda originally disagreeing with it, he kind of lets it go. Okay. And he lets him do this.
Big mistake you have made.
Fucked up you
have. Yes, big time effed up, as we know in the end. He does now more towards episode 2 is where we actually do see more of Yoda minus some mutton chops, as previously discussed. Yeah,
this is where we finally. I love episode 2 for one thing. We see Yoda get medieval with a lightsaber finally. After all those years, Kashmir, Yoda finally starts kung fu fighting with his lightsaber.
A whole bunch of things happen. We find out about clones, blah, blah, blah.
Love
Anakin, they all get. And so Yoda comes to the rescue as the Jedi are about to get their asses handed to them by all these battle droids. Brings the clones. They chase Dooku.
Yep.
And Dooku basically kicks Anakin's and Kenobi's ass. And then that's when Yoda's like, all right. Takes his robe off and starts kicking Dooku's ass. flipping all around,
In the
as we
nude?
discussed.
Well, no, I mean he didn't take off his wizard hat and robe, Carther. You remember this? Yes.
Oh, okay. He took off his robe. I got
Not
confused.
a
And there's
blazing saddle's
multiple.
like.
Well, yeah, there's
Excuse me
multiple
a
layers to,
moment
like
while
Jedi.
I whip this out.
Yeah,
No,
where he was hiding
whip
his
that out. He
lightsaber.
can whip out anything.
Yeah.
Trying to keep this clean.
We said it was a
fellas.
good size.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
That would distract any opponent.
So we finally see Yoda. Kicking some Dooku ass. Dooku does create a distraction so that he can get out there. Otherwise, he would have been. Otherwise, Yoda would have just. Who knows what he would have done, because we never really seen Yoda like kill him or kill somebody or what he would have done. Probably would have arrested him.
Let's all agree Dooku cheated. He dropped the giant pillar on Anakin and Kenobi so he could escape. That's what he did. He didn't finish the fight with Yoda. Damn it.
Yep.
Yes, and the gun the Clone Wars has.
Yes. So now more towards the Clone Wars, we're kind of into the Clone Wars a little bit, the battles. Several years later, Yoda has this brilliant idea of, hey, I think Anakin needs a Padawan, and gives him one Ahsoka Tano.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
Yeah, so he can learn, because Yoda's afraid that one of his reservations about Anakin was his possibility, his fear of losing. So he wanted to give him another attachment, someone else for him to lose.
Spoilers.
See how that worked out.
He loses her.
Yes. Spoiler.
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert, he loses her because of the Jedi, only cementing the fact his resentment for the Jedi Order. But that's on another episode.
Mm-hmm.
But this actually, during the Clone Wars, this is going to give one of my favorite things about Yoda, and one of the reasons why I do like Yoda is he's on a mission. He takes maybe a battalion of clones or whatever, going up against Ventress, because on this planet, I forgot the name of the planet, but they want
to.
Is this going to be a separatist planet? Is this going to be a Republic planet? And the guy's kind of like going back and forth, their leader, and they kind of almost have like this contest. We'll say who's stronger. What's going to protect him better? So Yoda and I think it's like 4 clones get separated from the rest of the battalion. They're doing whatever they're doing, and the clones are kind of down on the Jedi, and like, yeah, we're just soldiers to you. We don't even. And he kind of has that heart to heart, like, you guys aren't just soldiers. You're not just all the same. You are, and uses their name. And he kind of cemented that, like, you guys are not just soldiers and clones to us. You guys are real people. Long story short, he ends up defeating Ventress.
He whooped her ass.
Yes. And that planet's like, yeah, you know what? Maybe you guys are, even just your 1 Jedi and 4 clones are better than this entire, separatist group. So that's kind of like one of my favorite things in this. A lot of the Clone Wars, Yoda is kind of taking more of putting people where they need to be. I kind of, a lot of ways I think of him, he's like the head coach.
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it.
He's and his job is to put people in the right positions for them to win.
I think that's a really good assessment.
So Clone Wars, and that's really
Clone Wars Yoda until you get to the season 6, right? He doesn't really do a lot. There's the one episode with the Padawans and some stuff with him, but it's not till he goes on his journey, I think, that we see a really different side of Yoda. That was my favorite Yoda stuff ever. Was him the wills and running into Darth Bane and his, going through his journey to understand the dark side and stuff. That I think out of all the Clone Wars stuff, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I thought that was the best Yoda stuff pretty much we've gotten on him.
that's where we're Qui-Gon actually reaches out to him in the Force, and he hears him, and he sends him on his journey, and like you said, that's where he meets Darth Bane. He has to fight a image of himself.
Oh, that is like the trippiest thing in the entire thing, is trying to figure out what that little gremlin is the entire time. It's like a dark Yoda, and it's awesome. It's a great little episode.
And one of the things in when the original Empire Strikes Back came out, and as a young kid watching the Luke fight himself, or fighting Vader and sees himself, I'm like, this is just I'm just too young to understand that. But as being older and seeing kind of Yoda do the exact same thing on Dagobah, which was technically before Luke, it's just it really brings it home and what it's about.
Yeah. Yes. All right, and then I think we're into episode 3. Another badass Yoda moment when him and Sidious go toe to toe.
Yep. So everything happens at the Order 66. Yoda senses it right away and took out his clones, and then Tarful and Chewbacca get him to his little spaceship before he's destroyed by any other clones.
So much of the Revenge of the Sith is just washes away the Clone Wars view of the Jedi to the clone. They're just murder everybody because screw you.
Yeah. Yeah, Yoda gets vicious in episode 3. I don't know how you feel, Kashmir, but you just mentioned on Kashyyyk where he cuts off the heads of both of his his generals that are there. But then there's the scene, and there's actually an extended scene where you see, but when they go to the Jedi Temple, Yoda is murdering fools. Left, right, and center. Man, he's running around throwing his lightsaber, catching as the guy's falling, running around. There's actually, I think, an extended scene. I think I saw it somewhere where it showed the other stuff they were doing with Yoda. I was like, oh my God, you cold little bastard. Jesus. Just, oh my God. Angry Yoda is scary.
Facts.
Yeah. And then so the Yoda, and Kenobi are pretty much at this point, really the only survivors that we know of. They devised the plan of we're gonna break up. You take care of Anakin, and I'm gonna take care of Sidious. He busts into Sidious's office, takes out a couple of the guards. Basically a snap. Takes them out. You get out of here, out of my way. And then the all-out brawl between Yoda and Sidious takes place. And this Yoda was one of the Jedis he feared, that he thought could take him out. And they have an epic battle. Starts in the office, ends up into the Senate chambers where they're like force lightning in themselves or himself. Even another good thing, even before we get to that, is Palpatine shocks him and knocks him out. Yoda gets his little ass up and goes right back at him. They're in the Senate chambers, and they're he's throwing those pods at Yoda. Yoda's basically catching him with the Force, throwing him right back at him. He was giving it up, and it was one of the best battles. Lightsaber battles, just battles in general, I think.
Yeah, and I remember, if I correctly, it's been a long time since I read the actual book of episode 3. People always say, well, why did Yoda leave? Because he felt defeated. No, Yoda sensed that with all the destruction that was going on, he had missed his opportunity because he could sense and feel all the clone troopers and security forces coming in there, and he couldn't take on Palpatine and all the soldiers at the same time. So he knew he had to book it out of there. He had one chance to get Palpatine before that happened, and he didn't get it. And that's why he says I failed. Not because Yoda wasn't less powerful. I think they're pretty much, if you look at that fight, they're pretty even. Different styles and stuff. But yeah, I remember reading that, that was happening. Yoda knew he had to get out of there, that his opportunity had passed. But that's that great line. It's so powerful you are. Why run? It's like
Yeah. Well, that was Sidious's game plan the entire time, though, was to buy time. He did not need to win versus Yoda. He needed to just wait till he had reinforcements. That's why they went to this super public area, started thrashing the place. Like, that's going to draw in so many troops. I was like, yeah, all right, gotta go.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way Palpatine was. Because and you mentioned before the people that he feared. He feared Mace, he feared Yoda, and he feared Plo Koon. He was the other one that he was. Those three really gave Palpatine pause because of their power sets. We'll just call it the things that they could do in the Force. Could give Palpatine a run for his money. Palpatine wasn't stupid. he understood.
Yeah.
He didn't care about fair fights. He just cared that he had an advantage, and he knew that they would have some advantages with those fights as well. So yeah, it was good. That's a good point you brought up there. So then he loses, and then we know what happens next.
He escapes, but Bail picks him up. Bail bails him out.
Good old
but he loses his lightsaber in that, and from that point he actually, I'm never using a lightsaber again. He decides that's kind of his I'm done fighting. He kind of realizes that he was never gonna he wasn't gonna have the opportunity ever again, like you said, to beat Sidious. So that's where he eventually, everything happens with Anakin and that fight and Obi-Wan. They after the twins are born, Yoda kind of makes almost like his last plan as Grandmaster of, all right, we got to separate these two and we got to hide them from Anakin, because if Anakin gets his hands on these two, no one's ever going to defeat them. And he decides that he's going to go in exile back to Dagobah, where the dark side of the Force is so strong it'll cancel out his light side, that he won't be found. And he knows that he can do some more training with Qui-Gon, and gives kind of Obi-Wan his last, I got some more training for you too. You're not just going to Tatooine to hide out. You're gonna have more training for you from your old master.
Dun, dun, dun,
dun. And then we don't see. Now, I do like that they went in, because then we get to episode 4, right? Where we first start in the movie canon, where we were first introduced to him. But they did go back in Rebels and have a scene with him and Ezra, and talking about the Force and stuff like that, which was cool to bring Yoda sitting there on the log with his stick, being Yoda.
He at that point he was doing, like you said, he met with Yoda. Met with Ezra. Like, he was able to project himself and have conversations, like Luke eventually is able to do. But he's able to project himself. And when Ezra tells Ahsoka that he met with Yoda, she was like, "What?" He was, he kind of like, he's alive, like he's the greatest one ever. And she's, kind of shocked about that. Any questions on where we're at? I want to take a pause, have a sip, and
well,
give some idiots time to be idiots.
Well, we're very familiar with the rest. We are familiar with Yoda's story up to this point. He trains Luke, and then becomes one with the Force. You've seen in the movies. I don't think we need to really go into depth on that one. I don't know if you saw this in your research. I'm just curious, Kashmir. One thing I learned about Yoda when I was, just from all the lore and stuff I read, is he was a prankster. I didn't know this about him, but you saw it in Empire Strikes Back. And I when I first saw Yoda, I thought that was just him testing Luke and trying to test his patience. How much patience does this young kid have? But he loved to play jokes and pranks on people all the time in the Jedi Temple. I didn't know that about him. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. It's one of his things. I don't know if you ran across that in your lore stuff and knowledge, but yeah, I read that. I was like, really? That makes sense, actually. Yoda was a little prankster,
Since I equate it as like a him being like the head coach of a team, whatever team. Like, did he do a lot of things like like in baseball they'll do a hot foot?
Yeah.
Put fireworks on them, and
Oh God.
But But I think we're
Crazy.
pretty familiar with
Yeah.
Yoda. Is there any
Yeah,
fun facts or things you want to tell us about Yoda that maybe we don't know or anything like that?
He wasn't 66 meters. He was
Yes, I
0.66
think we,
meters. I
yes,
just wanted to, make
yes,
sure that
that's
was
important. Yes.
that was you know he
Clarified.
as far as the species, we only really know of Yaddle,
Yeah.
which she apparently speaks not in riddles, unlike Yoda.
No.
She speaks normal, I guess we'll say, like a normal thing. So we could assume that Grogu will be speaking normal. So those are
If
the
he
only
ever.
three of that species that
I
we
know,
really
right?
know.
So let me ask you this. I mean, you always bring him up when we're doing lore videos. He is your favorite character. What is it about Yoda that you love the most? I mean, what is it about him that you just, he's why is he your favorite character? What is it about him?
See, I'm not a crazy fanboy like Ram. I do like him. I do like him. I have a it's gonna be tough to see, but I do have a tattoo
Oh, we see it. Yeah, it's pretty clear.
on there of him because I do like him. I do like how smart he was and how like he can kind of he's kind of a lot like Sidious. He could see what's going to happen and he was able to you know people's strengths, know their weaknesses, and like I keep on saying, put them in the right place. Now, at the end of the day, I do blame him mostly for everything that happened because just like in sports, you lose the big game. A lot of times the head coach is the one that gets fired. Like, how did you not see this big bad at your doorstep? Big fail.
Yeah. Well, all the Jedi were just because at that point they'd become so locked into their ways. They were unable to understand that, how the dark side worked. And, they knew some things about the dark side, but as he said, it clouds
Yeah.
their judgments, and they'd rely on the Force so much. They forgot that there's other things besides the Force, like normal people and doing investigations
But he
and
kind
stuff.
of and he was so old
How
that he
old
learned
was
so
he?
many things, but 900 years old when he died.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked pretty good. But like, how do you not like study more about the Sith and like learning about, so that you would know when they came back, especially after Darth Maul was discovered. Like now you should have been in overtime studying like, oh, we know there's another one. What could they be possibly doing? What kind of plans could they be
I
having?
think that's constantly a something gets brought out, like how could Yoda have not seen that? And I think the simple answer is when you're that old and you've lived through multiple phases of, oh, they're back, we got to do everything we can to fight them. Oh, okay, they're gone. Well, we must remain vigilant until they return.
Mhm.
And then 100 years go by and nothing's happened, and your guard kind of fades and edges down a little bit, and you don't think about it as much. And when you do see little things here and there, it's a Jedi that's fallen to the dark side and they create a problem for a little bit. They might have a small cult, but then you either redeem them or kill them and then it's over and dealt with. I think the biggest issue between like the height of the Sith Empire and the height of the Galactic Republic is this time where the threats were either were external. They were mercenaries or pirates or warring nations that wanted to attack, and so they were very linear thought processes on how to deal with them. And then you get to dealing with the Sith, and like Palpatine had no intentions of ever engaging outright in with the Jedi because he knew what that would lead to. And so I think that's part of what we kind of think about is like, oh, how could you have not seen this coming? It's just so obvious. Well, yeah, it's so obvious when half the movie spent watching the plot of the dark side guys unfold. Like they're telling you what they're gonna do, and then it happens. It's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, why? How can you see that happening? I'm like, all right, on the other end of the scale, when the Jedi got launched into like the Clone Wars, and the Jedi became the leaders of the Galactic Republic army, you had a lot more paperwork in front of you than, well, what's guys with red lightsabers doing today? Nothing. I mean, like, to give a case in point, Sidious found out about Maul starting the criminal syndicate before the Jedi did, and that was there, and he went and dealt with it because Maul was getting too powerful. Like that was what happened with that one. Like, so like, if you have a Force user who's causing a problem, but they're relatively secret about it, or it's not on your front door, let it go. Not my problem today. I got other things to worry about.
This thing called war.
They, yeah, so I think that they did a good job distracting the Jedi during that time with a constant, issues and always causing problems here and there. That's why the Separatists were always attacking, these defenseless worlds. So you'd overcommit resources to locations, or you had to do whatever else. I think it's hard to say that you could see everything clearly when that's the case, but definitely the version of Yoda we get through like the movies, it doesn't make sense as to why he didn't see it, because all you do is see Yoda sit in the Jedi Temple and meditate, right? And then in the Clone Wars, he's actually doing stuff as a part of his day-to-day, routine. So the Clone Wars version of it makes more sense why he didn't see it. The movie version of him is like, all you did was sit all day and meditate. How did you not know?
Yeah, they do. The Clone Wars is really good because it does show that, and it shows how brilliant Palpatine's strategy was. You
Yeah.
get all these moving pieces, and and you're not looking at from the thread and from the inside. You're mainly focused on the thread and the outside. I mean, they knew there was a Sith controlling senators, but they didn't know how, and they didn't know which senators. It's not like they didn't try to find that out; they just never could. Because Palpatine was always a step ahead of them until it was too late. So
Well, and they did such a good job of letting the natural course of well, it's hard to say human nature because it's, there's so many alien species, but like you see that a little bit when like the Padme and Clovis go off together and they're trying to figure out what they're doing. How like the natural greed of people was causing constant interference. The Jedi had to keep stepping in on, going, well, no, you can't. Well, you shouldn't. All right, well, that's not good, And so and then at the end of the Clone Wars, he gave them their Sith Lord, right? He gave them Darth Tyrannus as a target. And so they spent all their time trying to hunt Count Dooku because that was the Sith they were looking for, right? They swore up, down, left, right, and center that the battle the Sith ended with Count Dooku, and that was what they were convinced of. So Palpatine was playing a completely different game because he just flooded the channels with so much stuff to take care of from the Jedi, from what the Jedi had elevated themselves into through the 1,000 years of being, I mean, they've been part of the Republic for a long time, but with the Galactic Republic, they were a much more integral part of it. That really kind of like made them just impossible to keep up with it all. They went from being peace delegates and negotiators to frontline combatants. It's just a massive change in what they were used to, and he played the game pretty much perfectly. If there's a few things that could have changed, it might have gone in his favor, but I mean, he knew what he was doing.
Well, you saw it too in the dogmatic views of the Jedi. Yoda was that antithesis. I mean, Yoda had a very broader, more and very much a correct view of the Force. About death and life. I mean, someone who's lived that long. But the problem with that dogmatic viewpoint from the Jedi, it didn't allow them any flexibility. On how to handle things. When you got a guy over here that doesn't play by the rules, well, sometimes you got to not play by the rules to defeat them. And I don't think the Jedi were ever going to do that, with their code, and there is no, the whole spiel of the Jedi code. So, and that was again why they couldn't really see what Palpatine was doing, because he was just doing some very, very underhanded, shady shit all the time that the Jedi weren't going to do, because again, that they were so, their dogmatic views about you could get turned to the dark side. It's like,
well,
Well, hold on,
that's why the Inquisitors are so effective at hunting them, though, because their dogmatic views of how to treat stuff. They would interject themselves in situations where if they would just let it go, they would survive, and they couldn't. That's the very first episode of Kenobi, right?
Yeah.
Where Rivas goes to throw a knife into some random patron's head, and the guy just stops it. It's like, yeah, I understand why you did it, but now you're screwed. So you traded one life for yours essentially, and it didn't net anything positive there. So it's interesting to see how a lot of that kind of stuff only backed them further into a corner. But yeah, a lot of things I kind of wish Yoda was a little bit more Qui-Gon Jinn-esque. I don't know where the split happened between the two of them, because it kind of seems like towards 4, 5, and 6, he's a lot more, middle of the road kind of approach to things. But like 1, 2, and 3, he's just like sniffing that glue. Well, the Jedi can do no wrong. This is the way for the Jedi to be.
I know, and then you see him in the sequels. He's like, Easterners, they were not.
Yeah.
I mean, just poo-pooing the Jedi, code and everything, and slapping Luke in the head, saying, "Listen, I was wrong. We were wrong. This is not the way we, I said to pass on what you learned. I didn't say pass on what we learned. I wanted you to create your own Jedi Order and stuff, and you went and found all these our old ways of doing it. That didn't work out so well. The most important thing is to raise an apprentice as best you can and teach the next generation the best you can from your own personal experience. And of course, in that one, Yoda was able to launch lightning from the sky, which was pretty cool. I didn't know Force Ghosts could be so powerful. But he was even more jokey and prankster than, and then that's the one that reminded me of that, and it made me go back and look at and find that, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Yoda would be that kind of guy when he was trying to teach lessons and certain lessons that he was trying to teach. So yeah, fascinating character. I watched a documentary of how the guy created that. He looked at a picture of Albert Einstein and then his own face and combined those two to create Yoda. I was like, makes sense. Makes total sense. Yeah, that's the way you're going to create a wise, wizened Jedi master. That's the way to do it. All right. Anything else you want to teach us of anything else about Yoda today there, Kashmir?
Not really about Yoda, but I just want to teach you that I never want to do this again. I will.
Not easy, is it?
I'm a better idiot than teacher.
I don't think you are. I think I'm going to start teaching next week again, and you're going to just be completely brain dead.
There we go.
I mean, as is tradition, I don't think we can have an episode where you can't ask the most ridiculous, dumb questions. So I'm used to it. So yeah.
Unfortunately, though, after this episode, Kashmir can't ask if it's about Yoda. He'll have to find something else to figure out to ask about. He'll have to move along.
Yep.
Find something else.
Pick a random other character.
You have to find someone else with a high metachlorian count there, Kashmir.
Yeah. I don't want to find somebody else, because then if I keep on saying that other person, then that's going to just be setting myself up for another, next year. Hey, let's have a challenge for, Kashmir doing a lore video on.
Yeah, but you already have this one down, out of the way. You've learned, you know what you're doing now. You're gonna just hit the ground running.
Yeah, but Ram might be there next time, and that would just be worse.
Yeah.
I mean, or better.
Yeah, I think the only one who hasn't done one is Karth. We'll have to see if we can get Karth to have to do one of these.
Yeah, we could. One of these
sounds
days.
like
make the lady
sounds like
swoon.
a challenge for your next
next ACS skull.
charity stream.
Yes. Yeah, let's make that the 25,000 mark.
Well, there goes only 22,000, you cheater.
Hey, if you don't want to raise an extra $4,000 or $3,000 for the cancer kids, then I can just tell them that it wasn't good enough goal for you.
Yeah,
it wasn't good enough.
I don't know why he's trying this. It's not going to work on me. So I am going to create a thing and make that a thing, Karth. Not for the 25. Just I'm going to throw your ass into the fire now. So prepare for that one.
It's going to be one of those days. I'm sick, guys. I'm sick.
Well, then we'll wait till next week, and they'll wait till the week after. All right. That being said, big shout out to Big K. Thank you for teaching us some stuff on Yoda. Again, we do these just as a general kind of just a basic learning of the character and stuff, just to whet your appetite, get you thinking about it. So you may want to go do your own stuff. Trust me, I'm sure you saw Casher. You go to Wikipedia, it's like,
Yeah.
it's just, especially on the main characters, it's even split up canon and legend, and then you go there and you're just like of
This could have been a
information.
4-hour
Oh, yeah.
podcast if we
Yeah.
wanted.
And you wouldn't have gotten to him in the episode 1 if we wanted to break down every detail.
Yeah.
Like you would have never made it there, because there is so much. They're doing so much backpedaling on his original lore due to the High Republic era coming out and being developed. They have to. It's like you have a character that was 900 years old at his death. You're only going back 200 years from episode 1 at the farthest part. It's like he's in his prime. He's in the middle. Like he's still 44 meters tall.
He hasn't grown to the full 66 meters.
No. He's shrinking over time.
Oh, he's shrinking. Okay, sorry,
he's
I
shrinking
got
over time.
confused, and yeah.
I'm with you.
All right. All right, so if you like this stuff, make sure you leave comments, hit the thumbs up. If you think about coming to Patreon, like Big K said, it supports the content. We do put this on a podcast form on Tiltify and Podbeam, so you can go listen to it there and download all the episodes. I'll have them up. They should be up to date. I just had to add this one. So, and this will come out Monday or Tuesday once I get some time to cut it out and edit it and make sure everything works and things of that nature. And we'll get that out to you guys this week as well. So, we should be back next week for another lore video, and then I'm working on getting another ladies night up and running soon. I got a special plan for that for the ladies of the Star Wars Lore with Idiots, so we'll have that around the corner. So good job, Kashmir.
Thank you
shout out.
both.
Yep. So everyone have a great rest of your day, and may the force be with you. Peace.